Welcome to the O Show, your number one podcast for everything training, mindset, and nutrition. I am your host, Oren McCarry, and it is my goal to help you access the best information around to allow you to kick ass in the gym, in the kitchen, and most importantly, in your head. Between my own experiences and those of my amazing guests, I'm confident we will do that. So let's strap in and level up your life starting right now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to today's episode of the O Show. I am your host, Oren McCarry, and I am here with the main man behind the Frankie Lee Podcast and the founder of contentremoval.com. If you haven't guessed, Frankie Lee Podcast, it's Mr. Frankie Lee.
Mate, thanks for having me. What an intro. Go on, son.
Well, we got to give you a bit of a plug, man, because your podcast is pretty epic, but you've also got this cool thing, which we're going to mention quickly, which is the contentremoval.com, right? You're the founder of that. Tell us a little bit about that aspect before we get into the meat and bones of this podcast.
I suppose, yes. So essentially what happened was, when I first came to Australia, I came here as a carpenter and obviously wanted to change my life in that regard. But I quickly learned that swapping time for money in a trade that I didn't really love anymore, in the heat, getting burnt up, wasn't exactly the right play for me. So I pivoted. I found a mentor, and obviously he said to me about getting into sales and how that was going to free me and free my time and all that stuff. So I got into sales. And when I was selling for an online reputation management company at the time, I noticed that a lot of people wanted to remove online content, but there was no way and means of doing it. So, and I didn't have a clue at the time how to remove it either. I had no idea. And then a couple of my girl mates were also going through what's termed now as revenge porn in the UK, where their nude images were being shared by their ex-partners on a site called Anon IB. And they rang me up, and I've got a lot of girlfriends, and they're like, you know, Frankie, like, we don't know what to do about this. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's obviously affecting their mental health and how they feel within themselves. And obviously, like, if you let's both be honest as men, like, we've probably both shared nudes. Girls have shared nudes with us. That's just how the world goes round. That's kind of how it is. But the last thing that I would expect either of us to do is to share those online. However, there was lots of men at that time that were doing that and targeting women. And that goes vice versa. So there's lots of women that do it to men as well, with like the dick pics and all that stuff. But at this time, these women were facing this issue. And I found a way to go and remove picture, images and videos at scale from these platforms by doing the research, understanding the platform terms, understanding how to find out where it's hosted, all this kind of stuff. And I put together a system and a process to do that at scale. So I helped out all these women for free. I learned the game that way. And then I thought, well, I bought contentremoval.com because I managed to get hold of the domain name contentremoval.com, and I paid like $650 US for it, for a 12-year age domain, which was a phenomenal value. It's probably worth about 100 grand now, as a domain on its own. So that was a fantastic thing that happened. It just serendipitously happened that I got hold of this domain. And then basically I thought to myself, well, there's money in this. Obviously, you can't at that end of the scale where you're just helping young women that have been meanly targeted online. That you can't really, it's soul destroying making money out of someone who's going through that. But there's lots of celebrities, influencers, and brands online that get targeted that can afford to pay for content removal because of the nature of the fact that they're making so much money. So I went and I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to start at the bottom of the game reaching out to like this tier. I'm just going to go and sign some of the biggest females in the fitness industry, which is what I did. I contacted some of the biggest females in the fitness industry, and I did brand deals with them, and I took them on board as clients, and then I expanded and did bigger and bigger and bigger stars, and then looked after some celebrities and stars and actresses in America and recording artists and stuff like that, and just build it up from there. And eventually I became, you know, the man who removes stuff for the internet for celebrities, brands, and influencers. And that's just how it happened. And then from there, here we are.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because I remember about 4 weeks ago, like I said to you, somebody sent me your podcast, was like, bro, you would love this. Check this guy out. when you started to talk about like content removal, I was like, there is such a need for this now, and like that revenge porn sort of era, and you know, all the celeb photos getting leaked by iCloud hacks and all this mad stuff that goes on. I was like, how is this the first person I've ever heard mention like this as a business service? And I was like, it's pretty smart. It's pretty, I don't even know how you would even go about doing it. I was like, it doesn't even make sense how he gets this down. But I just thought this is insane that not more people do this, because it's such a rampant thing, especially like you said back home in the UK and Ireland. Like it was huge with revenge porn for a good few years, where like there's news reports on it all the time, and it was happening to loads of people, and I think they maybe even made laws against it or something back there, right?
Yeah, exactly, mate. It still happens now. I mean, we were actually part of the team back in the day that shut down the original Anon, that helped report it to the Dutch police and got it shut down. And the Dutch police then took all the gratification for doing it. So they got all the marketing out of doing the good deed, but they didn't actually do the good deed, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but it's now sprung back up again recently on different servers. I think it's hosted now in Iceland. So it's right. Like it's like these things are rampant. There's businesses and brands and women and men affected all over the world at all times with online content.
Yeah.
And the thing is, no one knows how to remove it. And there's lots of websites out there called genericremovalcompany.com that say they've got the answer to your problem, that would charge you like $500 or $1,000, low end, low ticket removal service. But what they do is they take your money and then they're gone. Then they're not going to do that, because the truth of the matter is, because of how much work goes into it, it's a higher ticket product. You can't see it, but what goes into removing online content is difficult. If you're paying cheap prices for that kind of stuff, you're not going to achieve the essence of what they're saying they're going to achieve, and that's kind of what's happened in the industry. It's got flooded with loads of people that have the glossy website that say they can do this, this, and this, and this. But the fact of the matter is, I don't know if you've ever seen on my Instagram and that, like I look after like Yanni, who owns Yanamize in London, and he's always, I never ask him to do it, but he always shouts me out. It's like, you should go to Frankie for your content removal stuff. And it's just like, when you've got people like that who see it at a high level and then cut and then share it with their following, it's like, it's obvious that you can do what you can say you can do. But the problem with a lot of people are getting, if your nude's gone online, you're going to go to Google and search, I want to remove my image online, and you're going to end up with this generic provider because you're in a panic because you want to get your nude down, and you're going to get ripped a new one because you go to the wrong person. And it's all about and then it becomes a case of like, who's spending the most money to acquire the client, aka who's paying $40 for the click rather than $20 for the click. And then so that's how people get kind of duped by the whole game. So in essence, what I'm saying is, it not only is it a wild industry that's madly needed, but it's also a wild industry that you can get dragged down a hell of a lot of different paths if you go for the wrong type of people to look after you online. That's essentially what it is.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I guess that's like any industry. It's like the fitness industry where I'm in, right? You got people who do stuff really well and they'll charge their thing for it, and they'll provide loads of support with anything your client needs. And you've got the people who sell generic plans, which is fine if they want to sell that, but you can't expect to have the Rolls Royce package and pay like the Renault sort of fucking price,
Exactly. And that's why at the 5-6 years on in this game, for me on a personal level, it's like, I do not aspire or aspire this business to look after everybody. We are not for everybody. If you do not want to pay a good amount of money to remove online content, then we can't help you, because it's a specialized service that provides a high level of value to the right kind of clients. So we're not for everybody. And and I'm cool with that now. And it's good, because so many times, and certain times a year, what we do is we when we have down times, what we do is we go to a revenge porn group in the UK or Australia or something like that, someone who looks after these kind of people, and we do free removals for those agencies in a bulk, and we give back like that. But in terms of the kind of clients that we're looking after now, it's mainly like a high level female influencers and celebrities, invariably recording artists and brands, high level brands is invariably what we're looking after on the day to day. So yeah,
nice, man. That's pretty killer, and it must be pretty rewarding when you can do stuff like that as well and just help people in that way, man.
Well, it is. So there's two sides to it that people kind of fail to see. So people are like, oh, you only protect brands and celebrities. Why'd you do that? And it's like, well, because this fake account over here that's impersonating this brand and celebrity is stealing money off their customers that can't afford to lose that money. Like, if you look at what's happening in the fitness industry, every fitness influencer out there at the moment is getting impersonated on Instagram, right? Yeah. And then this person's contacting their followers saying that they've got the latest Bitcoin investment or the latest Forex thing. And then people are sending them money through the DMs. Have you seen that kind of scam going around?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, if we remove this account that this celebrity or influencers paying to protect their brands, so that they are protecting you as a follower of the brand. That's what people don't see. The fact that this is why we look after these, because if we look after people at this level that can afford to pay for the time that goes into removing the content, we protect the masses on this level anyway, as a byproduct because of what we're doing for that client. And that's why it's so rewarding, because every one of these fake accounts that you remove, you protect 1,000 people who just follow a famous name online from online content, which is a fantastic thing to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, 100%. And I think the fact that you just fell into this from like finding a need is pretty cool as well, man. But I wanted to backtrack a little bit, because you mentioned that you started this when you came to Australia. So when did you come over here? Because obviously you're both connecting, because we both made the transition over here for a bit of a better life and, you know, to move away from for me, it was the shitty weather back home more than anything. But why did you want to move to Australia, and when did you come out here?
I came out here, I landed in July the 15th, 2014. And I think I started content removal back in 2016 after doing carpentry and get residency and doing all the work and doing the hard work. It's hard work, as you well know. It's hard work. You know, even having the balls to leave where you're born, leave your country, leave your friends, step out your comfort zone, land in a different place, figure it out. And I don't know if you get this from a lot of your friends, but a lot of people reach out to me like, Frankie, how did you do that? How do you need $10,000? Do you need this much money? It's like, guys, if you have always wanted to come to Australia, or you've always wanted to break patterns and flip perspectives in your own life, right? Then the fact of the matter is, just buy a ticket, just sell your car, put a few $1,000s in the bank, and just fly over to wherever you're going to go to, and just go and submerge yourself and have a go. Because I presume that's all you did, and that's certainly what I did. I didn't come here with a plan, and if you do come here with a plan, that invariably the plan is going to fail. That's never going to get you to where you're going to get to, because that's just not the nature of the game. And the essence of life, in my opinion, is the fact of like, you have to leave the place you were born in order to accentuate and grow. And even if you go back to the place you were born, there's so much growth in between the lines for human beings. So if England's here and Australia's here, there's so much growth in the middle of that that people cannot get if they stay where they are.
Yeah, 100%.
So the reason I left the UK, in answer to your question, is because I was in the mentality of, done my carpentry apprenticeship, I'm going to be a carpenter, I earned all right money, I had the penthouse apartment that I bought when I was like 20 years old, you know, from saving all my money, from not going out on weekends, not drinking, not smoking, not doing all that shit, but just saving, working extra jobs. I had the nice sports car on the driveway. I had the beautiful Italian girlfriend. But guess what? I was sat in the apartment and I felt empty. And why did I feel empty inside? Because I knew that there was something way, way bigger inside of me that could come out and could grow. But I needed to change the environment to allow that to happen.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's simply why I came to this country and wanted to get to Australia, because you see it in all the geography lessons at school that you actually go to. But do you know what I mean? Like you see all that, you see that abundance, but you think to yourself, how could I live that life? Yeah. And the only way you live that life is if you back yourself and you buy the ticket and you fly here. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And do you ever get anything like homesickness or anything that kind of draws you back there? Or are you pretty much set that, this is where I want to be? Because I find that a lot of expats, kind of come over, and they've got like the great life, beach lifestyle, great food, great coffee, very chilled. Like I heard you say on your podcast, you've closed some mega deals wearing shorts and a t-shirt, like which just wouldn't happen back home, right? So you got this really good life, but something about home seems to draw people back very quickly. Have you experienced that?
The thing about home, in quotation marks, that drags people back is comfort. People seek comfort.
Yeah.
You need to seek to be uncomfortable in order to grow. Because if you're training your bicep in the gym, right, and I keep repping that 15 kilos, right, there's no growth there, because it's like I've lifted this 17,000 times this week, mate. Yeah. But if I go and get the 25 kilo weight off the dumbbell rack and I start curling it and I start tearing that muscle, guess what? It's discomfort, but it's growth. And that's where all the growth happens in life, in discomfort. So rather than seeking all the time to be comfortable and then wondering why you're constantly unhappy because you're comfortable, why don't you seek discomfort? And even if you don't achieve the level in life that you ever wished you'd get to, you're going to achieve a damn sight more than sitting there being in comfort. And that is all there is to it. Yeah. It's like if everything is within you that you can go and do, right? You just got to take the action to go and fucking do it. Like, it's as simple as that. And the only reason people miss home is solely because it's comfortable. It's so comfortable, like being around your family, having that network, having that friend network, having this thing. But it's also full of limiting beliefs for a human being. It's like if you've stayed around the same people from the time when you was 8 years old till you were 28 years old, I'm telling you now, you're missing the fucking point. You have to go and see different cultures. You have to go and meet different people. You have to go and have conversations with people that have different goals, aspirations. You have to go and submerge yourself in these things to be able to grow. That's part. You are on this planet for a limited point in time. It would be a damn fucking shame to not turn up and try and be the best version of yourself that you can be. Yeah. And any friends in your life or any family that understand you and understand that will back you. And by stepping out of your box and stepping out of your comfort zone, it'll allow you to identify the people in your life that you need to fuck off because they limit your growth anyway. So that it's a 100%. Win-win-win moving, and whether you move for 3 months or whether you move for a year or whether you move for 1 week, you will get so much fucking value out of it for your life and the way it will change your life. It's invaluable that you have to fucking do it. You just have to do it. You had to do it. I had to do it. And everyone has to do it. Yeah, and if you 100%. Don't, you're just mugging yourself off. Simple as that.
Yeah, man. And I think the fear of the unknown is why people maybe don't do it or don't stick it out. Because like we came over in 2018. My missus is a dentist, so it was her idea. She's like, really shit weather that year, 2017. We moved out here. We had a 2-year visa, but we weren't sure whether we could extend that. So we're planning on 2 years, experience it. Midway through that, we decided we kind of want to have a baby like now. Like, do we wait till we get back home potentially after this, or do we have a baby? So we had our first baby. Then while my missus was on maternity, we got our permanent residency approved from her work.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah, man. And just everything just sort of works out as it's meant to. And like, if we had been scared of the unknown, we might have just put off having the baby till we get back, because it's, potentially going to cost money to have a baby over here in Australia. We don't really know if she's going to have to go work somewhere regional to get the visa that we needed. Is it all going to work out? And it ended up, it worked out pretty nicely, because the week or the 2 weeks before or something that she got approved for the PR, the whole of Perth here was classified as regional. So she can work in the city and still be on the regional skills list. So she ended up, instead of having to drive an hour south every day for work, she can work 15 minutes from home. So everything just works out nicely in the end. But I think it's that fear that, what happens if this, if that? You've just got to kind of go all in. And like I said, we were prepared to have the baby here and move back home with a 3-4 month old baby, whatever it was going to be at the time. But we just went in and we said, let's fucking just apply, do everything that we can to stay. And if it works out, it works out. And if not, we were fully prepared to go home. But you've got to be willing to take that chance, in other words, to get the rewards at the end, right?
You got to be willing to back yourself. And fear of the unknown is absolute. It's an absolute fugazi. It's bullshit when you think about it. Because think about this, right? Let's just put it in the crudest terms possible, right? If you never have sex with a woman or a man when you're younger, as a female or male, right? Because you are fearful of the unknown, how much opportunity do you lose later on in life because of the fear of the unknown? You've got to lose your virginity for the first time, right?
Yeah.
You've got to fly 10,000 miles to Australia for the first time. You have to go to Greece with the lads for the first time on your own. You have to play the first team of football on your own. You have to go to the dentist for the first time on your own, you know, as an adult. You know, there's lots of things that you have to do on your own that when you tend to find you overthink the fucking problem. You make it into this massive fucking issue. But it's like, if you don't do that, it costs you so much later on in life. You could not be in Australia with a beautiful woman, with a baby on the way, if you hadn't have lost your virginity and took a risk and stepped into the unknown back in the day, right?
Yep, 100%.
I know it's a crude way of putting it, but let's just put it in layman's terms so people understand. The fear of the unknown is the biggest limiting belief bullshit that you'll ever hear in your entire fucking life. And I'm here today. If there's one message I want you to get out of this fucking podcast, it's this, right? By you letting these beliefs limit your mindset, you are fucking yourself in your own ass for no reason. It's literally like, honestly, the worst thing you can do, because why would you limit your own capability for?
Yeah.
It's that everything can be done. Yes, you're going to get, yes, of course, some things are more difficult than others, right? You know, you might not be the most, might not have the most self-belief in yourself, but you might have to go talk to that beautiful girl at the bar. But what's the worst you can say? Yes or no? Like, do you know what
100%.
I mean? And there's growth in both answers. You just have to be able to see the perspective of what you're looking at. So it doesn't, the answer isn't even the answer. The growth is in either way anyway. So you're going to grow either way. So why wouldn't you, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think as human beings, we're wired to grow. Like whenever we're stuck in a job we don't like, or we're not progressing, that's whenever we really start to like see depression, anxiety, like just being down on yourself or doubting yourself. All these things is because you're just stuck in like a little box and you're not actually growing. Like we are meant to grow as people. We're meant to get better at things as we age and try new things and fucking go on little adventures and do these things. And whenever it's like we're imprisoning ourselves when we decide, no, we're just content. And like Tony Robbins talks about no man's land, right? Which is where you're in a little bit of pain, but you're not right in enough pain to actually cause you to do something. So you're just sitting in what he calls no man's land, just waiting. And one day that pain's going to maybe get high enough to actually spur you to do something. But for most people, they're just sitting in that, just telling themselves that they're satisfied and that they're content when really they're not. And they're just sort of lying to themselves, you know?
Well, let me put it in. Let me ask your audience a question then. Right? This will fucking hit your ears at the right time. Right? Do you feel you're born to do average shit? If the answer to that question is no in your life right now, you need to fucking level up and start stepping into things that scare you a little bit. Yeah. Right? Not for me, not for you, but for yourself. Do it for your fucking self at the end of the day. Like just step out. I've put, $100,000 into my podcast, backed myself massively, gone against the grain. And obviously you heard of me through the podcast and that's going from strength to strength to strength to strength, right? Same with what you're doing. Yeah. How has that happened? Because I fucking started and I went on a relentless pursuit for what's uncomfortable. And that's why I get the people that I get on the podcast. That's why you are getting the things that you're getting in life, because we went on the relentless pursuit of what isn't comfortable at the time, but where the growth needs to fucking happen, right? Now, anyone who listens to this podcast can get that in their own life if they decide to turn up for themselves. Now, I'm giving you the fucking option. Do you want to turn up for yourself today, or do you want to delay that for another time? Up to you. It's not going to affect me either way, but I just feel that the message that I'm kind of drawn to give you on this podcast is this: turn up for yourself and fucking turn up in a massive way and you'll change your fucking life, and you'll amaze yourself at what you can achieve in life and where you can go in a short space of time. But you have to back yourself massively in every way, and shut the fucking door to the return. So don't leave the door open to return to that job that you fucking hate. Don't leave the door open to return to that ex that you fucked off. She's an ex for a reason. Like, don't leave. People leave too many fucking doors open at the back here to go back through. When you go through a door, you're not meant to return through the same fucking door. You're meant to go a different direction on the way out the building, right? That's all I'm saying. Your choice. Make it today.
100%, man. And I think that's a good little transition, because you mentioned the podcast, and obviously that's where we connected. And, you know, somebody sent it to me. It was like, you'll love this. And I think I've listened to maybe like 5 episodes in like 3 weeks, because I've just been like binging it in the car a little bit. So when did you decide to run with the Frankie Lee podcast? And like, how did it go from this idea to where it is now, however many episodes in? And it's, you know, got lots of traction, lots of listens. How did you get there? And yeah, just let's talk about that, man.
Okay, I think the first thing to talk about before we talk about the growth and all that thing is like, because lots of people say to me, they want to start a podcast or this and that and the other, and they start asking me about the podcast. But the one thing I identified first, well, I can't remember what book I read it in or what mentor it was that told me this, but it's like, everyone, I think it's a bit of a mixture of all these different mentors that I've got, and we'll touch on that in further down the track. But you can either spend hours improving a skill that you're not very good at, i.e., I love boxing. I've been in the boxing gym my whole life, so I work on my boxing skills. I'm not going to go and try and be a football player, because that's not the skill that I would rather just keep getting 1% better at the boxing skills than try and learn a whole new skill, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at my skills as a human being, look at me. Yeah, I'm a bald guy, right? I'm not going to be a hair model or a catwalk model just because I'm not built for it, right? But one thing I do believe I believe that I have good communication skills. I believe that I've got a voice that can impact people, and I believe that I've got skills that when I correlate through video and audio, that I can help people transform and transcend through their life, break patterns, flip perspectives.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lean into that skill. What aligns with that skill? Podcasting. Now, how I found all that out about myself was through a lot of personal development, a lot of self-work. And in all honesty, I'd done all that, and I'd done all the self-work, read all the books and all the gurus, and talked to my mentors, boom, boom, boom. And I'd always thought about having this podcast, but there was some limiting belief in my head, something telling me. There's just some reason I even when I started this podcast, I started it in like June 2020 or something on the floor of my mum's house when I was in England, on a fucking laptop, no mic, no nothing, just started speaking, right?
Yeah.
And then I didn't go back to it. And then I was in a bit of a place, and I thought, fuck. And my mate came to the gym one day, and he mentioned that he'd been to see this clairvoyant. And this clairvoyant happened to be Orlando Bloom's clairvoyant, who lives in Tweed Heads in the Gold Coast, right?
Okay.
And Orlando Bloom ran the kid. I thought, fuck it, I'll go see her. And when I sat down in that room with her, and I thought all this stuff was woo-woo, right? I really did. Like, but when I sat down, she said, she sat down, and she said, before I didn't even say a word out of my mouth. And she said, you do realize that the reason you are here today, and the reason you feel the way that you feel, I hadn't even told her the way that I feel at this point, was because you are, and the reason why you feel tight here and tight here is because you are not communicating what you have to communicate with the world. And you need to find a platform and a way to share that with the world and help and do this and do this and do this. And she took me through the whole thing. And she said, you will find out what that is. She said, you're going to meet someone from Hollywood. This is what she said to me. You're going to meet someone from Hollywood, right? And it's all going to become apparent to you, right? And she went on and told me more stuff about my child and all this stuff and rah, rah. And I walked out there and I thought, fucking hell, I felt empowered. I felt fucking good. But I thought, fuck, what's this woman talking about? I'm going to meet someone from fucking Hollywood. What's she talking about? Mad shit. Literally, mate, 2 weeks fucking later, I'm down Mermaid Beach in the Gold Coast, right? I go to my mate's house, English guy. We walk straight onto the beach. We walk straight onto the beach, past this surf competition, walking towards us. I turned to my mate and I went, "That's Tom Hanks." And he goes, "Yeah, that is Tom Hanks." And we walked past Tom Hanks, right? And then we both looked at each other and we went, "Fuck, it is Tom Hanks." Like we both we turned around. We went on this fucking beach walk for 20 minutes with Tom Hanks, right? Like, and he liked us and he took a selfie with us, and that selfie went viral around Australia and all this razzmatazz. And it was that conversation and that meeting and kind of some of the stuff, some of the things, and like the way that he articulated himself and the way that he communicated. I thought, fuck me, like I'm stood here talking to Tom Hanks, and it's that kind of got me back on this podcast journey again, mate. And I just thought, fuck this, I'm doing it, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Like that's kind of like the sign that I needed. That's kind of like the kick up the arse that I needed. Like, this is it. It just so happens that some of the other stuff that she said was going to come true did come true, but it came true in a more negative light than what I thought it was, because 2 weeks later, Tom Hanks tested positive for COVID, and I got dragged into all that, you know. Or my photo was with Tom Hanks on all the Australian news. So they'd used that photo again for that. So it got a bit of a negative light, but that was like a culmination of like me stepping out of my comfort zone, like I'm telling you guys to do, going to see something that, you know, I don't potentially understand this, but I'm just going to go with a clear mind and kind of clear perspective and try and see it what it is, rather than looking. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see with my hands, it's like, rather than looking with blinkers on like a horse, I've kind of opened my peripherals up and I'm kind of seeing things for what they are, and just accepting that other people have different ways and different means. And this woman, Jean Claire, that I went to see, has helped me massively see the opportunities available to me if I just take action on my truth, is essentially what she's taught me. It's like, and that's why I'm so passionate about the podcast, mate. And that's essentially why it's growing, is because I've leaned into something that I truly feel aligned and is meant for me.
Yeah.
And if you're a good writer, lean into writing a book or a blog post. If you're good at radio, if you're good at audio speaking, maybe lean into speaking, maybe lean into a podcast, maybe lean into radio, maybe lean into something else. But it's just like, essentially what I'm saying is, find the skill that best aligns with you and lean into that and improve the skills that you're already the top 1% of in the world, rather than trying to improve something you're not fucking destined to do. It's like, I'm not going to be a basketball player. You're probably not either. Why the fuck would we lean into that? Because it's not our 0.01% skill. And your whole goal in life is to find your 0.01% skill. When you find it, go all in on that and enhancing that skill, and that's going to help you accentuate through whatever you need to do. And that's why I believe the podcast has got, I mean, today I looked at the analytics, 86 in the top. I'm 86 out of 100 in the UK for education growth, right?
Nice.
12 months growth, 12 months, right? Yep. Now, what does that tell me? That tells me I'm doing the right fucking thing.
Yep.
That's it. That's all you need to know. That's the first time. Yesterday was the first time I looked at the analytics in 12 months, mate. Don't interest me. It's like, am I putting out good content? Am I delivering value to the audience? If yes, and if yes, fucking continue. Keep doing the reps. Simple as that. And that's kind of how the podcast came. That's kind of how the podcast came about, and why I'm so passionate about it. And it's just literally, and the tagline to the podcast is break patterns, flip perspectives. So like what you're trying to do, I'm just trying to help people break the pattern of themselves and flip perspectives in their life. Yeah. And I do that by connecting with celebrities, influencers, and top entrepreneurs that I find inspiring, that I think have done big shit, and trying to pull their story out and their nuggets of learning to distill them to people, so that people believe within themselves exactly what can be achieved by themselves. Simple as that.
Yeah, 100%, man. If you look at the list of people, that's what I was saying at the start, like you've had the guys from Macro Mike on, you've had Michael from Strong, which was the first podcast that I listened to. And you've just got, like, I was looking through all these names. I was like, sometimes I didn't even know the names. So the description, I was like, oh shit, that's that guy from this thing, or that's that girl from that thing. And I was like, holy shit, like, it's a quality lineup of guests. And like, we were talking at the start about, I was like, how do you get these level of guests on? Like, and you were saying, we're all connected, and you just believe that you will keep growing the podcast and have these huge names in the future, because somebody will connect you to somebody else, who'll connect you to somebody else, who'll then eventually connect you to The Rock. And like, your goal is to have like The Rock and these big names on the podcast, and you believe that it's only a matter of time before you reach that.
Mate, The Rock, Elon Musk, they'll all be on the podcast. The podcast will eventually be too big to be denied by people like that.
That's epic.
And that's all it is. But let me tell you how this happens for everybody. People believe it's all about confidence in life, but confidence is a bullshit myth. And I learned this in boxing. There's a big difference between confidence and self-belief. Confidence can be shattered. Self-belief is instilled within yourself, right?
Yeah.
You've got to work on instilling self-belief in yourself. Like, you could tell me my podcast is shit and it wouldn't affect me. 20 people down the road could tell me, it's not going to happen for you, Frankie. It's fucking bollocks, mate. You're talking shit. Doesn't affect me, because I've instilled self-belief within myself to believe and know what I know who I am as a man. I know what I'm here to do, and I know what I'm going to do, and I will not be denied, because I'm not doing it even for me. I'm doing it for everyone else that I believe that I can empower by doing it for me. So it's about a way bigger picture than me, because I've leaned into my purpose, I've leaned into my passion, and I've put them together, and I've made it. But that all comes from if I went out on confidence and then someone said, "Hey, you bald fucker, you're useless at podcasting," my confidence has now just been shattered. And now I'm in a ball of fucking tears on the fucking floor over here, because I worked on the external rather than working on the internal. And most people are going to the gym and going and curling bicep curls and going world gym and making themselves look jacked and want to be IFBB and all that stuff, all that shit, right? Which is all fair and good. Look amazing, but also instill within yourself some fucking self-belief as to what you can do, so that no fucker can come and pop you, because you're not blown up on hot air. It's simply what I'm saying. So like, the most important takeaway from that isn't the fact that me growing the podcast. It's like, do you want to be confident or do you want to work on self-belief? It's like, well, how do I do that, Frankie? Well, I tell you how you do it. You spend some time doing what's difficult, which is being alone. Because when you're alone, and when you sat there alone, and when you're listening to the thoughts running around in your head by being alone, right, you will understand so much more about yourself, who the fuck you are, how you want to turn up, how you want to be, how you want to impact the world, what you want to do, what you want to deliver, the value you're going to add. You're going to learn so much more by just sitting there in silence, without the bullshit, without the fucking noise, and just write shit down. Oh, what that's come up. Oh, that's a trigger from the past. I better do some work on that. Oh, this, that, and the other. Blah, 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 blah. Do you know what I'm saying? You can, and people in this noisy world where everyone's trying to get everyone's attention, everyone's trying to fucking swing their dick on Instagram or do this and do that. It's like, you have to spend time disconnected to become connected with yourself, to allow yourself to grow to the levels that you wish to. And that's as simple as that.
Yeah, man, I think like that confidence is what I consider to be the real alpha males in the world, right? You get these people who have the bravado, they're the rugby star, they're the boxer, not to critique boxers, but like they're the jock, right? And people see the high testosterone, the maybe sporting prowess as the alpha male, or the biggest person in the gym, or the best boxer, whatever it is in whatever gym you're at. And those are the people who probably have the least amount of self-belief. They might have a lot of confidence, but like you said, that confidence can be shattered. But for me, the real alpha nowadays is the person who has so much self-belief in themselves that they literally can't be shaken. Like what you said there, I was just like, that to me, that's alpha. Never mind being the fucking biggest guy or pro bodybuilder or the strongest bench press in the gym. To me, that unshakable belief in yourself and what you're going to do, and the fact that you don't give a shit about other people's opinions, is what makes you alpha nowadays, rather than just bravado and fucking machoism.
Well, you put it into context, right? It all starts with knowing who the fuck you are and how you want to turn up in the world, right? And that is powerful shit for any man or woman to understand, right? And that'll intimidate a lot of other people. So once you learn that about yourself, your friends will change, your mentors will change, the people you're surrounded with fundamentally changed. The people you attract into your life change, right?
Yeah.
Because you are going deep on yourself. You are going deep to understand who you are, how you want to turn up, how you want to be. So fucking fundamentally important, because it's the true essence of why you're on the fucking planet, is to find out who you truly are. And so many of us, right, are hiding behind this big fucking wall of fucking bullshit that we've built. You know what I mean? It's like, mate, you probably don't know this, but I was one of the youngest professional boxing trainers to ever work at world title level. When I represented, Michael Buffer announced it, Jeff Horn, Gary Cochran, walked into the ring with Gary Cochran, assisting Frank Greaves in boxing as a professional boxing trainer. Yeah. One of the youngest to work at world title level. I worked at world title level in boxing in December 2017. In 2019, I still had professional boxing trainer in my profile, right? I looked at it one day, I thought to myself, Frankie, why the fuck do you have professional boxing trainer in your profile when you haven't been a professional boxing trainer since you represented the world title, because you found that wasn't your purpose, that wasn't what fulfilled you? Yeah. I tell you fucking why. Because I was still trying to swing my dick and try and live in a past moment, which is what a lot of people are still trying to do. They're still trying to live a past thing. IFBB 2018, who gives a fuck? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Who gives a fuck? No one cares. It's gone. If you fuck that bravado off, if you fuck that boxing trainer, professional boxing trainer title off out your Instagram bio, because that's not the truth right now today. If you fuck that IFBB 2018 off out your profile, because that's not who you are today, because you've grown and accentuated. If you fuck all that bullshit off, guess what happens? You allow yourself to show yourself who you truly are. Yeah, and that's huge. And that's fucking huge. So we're all living in the light of these fucking labels, right? These labels that don't mean fuck all, that don't even represent who we are, right? And you'll see and the reason I use the Instagram bio as the example to this is because you will see in 17, you can go to Instagram right now and look through all your friends, and they'll be founder of this, owner of this, fucking achieved this, been on this TV channel, fucking sponsored by this, but they're everything to everybody, which means they're nothing to nobody. Yeah. Because that's how you're communicating with the world, because you don't have a fucking clue who you are. Yeah. Right? I am the content removal guy, and I set up the Frankie Lee podcast, and that's it. That's what I do. I help people remove online content. I serve them at a high level, and I spend the money that I make doing that on the podcast to try and help people accentuate break patterns for success in their life. That is all I fucking do. Yeah. That's it. I'm not the professional boxing trainer anymore. I'm not the fucking biggest dick swinger 2016 anymore. Do you know what I mean? All these fucking other labels that you can get. I'm not the Tinder champion from fucking regional finals for 2014. Do you know what I'm saying? Like all these other fucking labels that you can give yourself. I fucked all those off. And I've just gone into what's authentically happening right now in my life and centered in on that. And when you do that, it changes your fucking game again. Yeah, 100%, man. And I think that is such a nugget. Like I keep looking at my clock here because I know that I'm going to clip one of these up for a little snippet on IGTV. I'll keep looking at the clock like, right, that he said that at this time. And every time, like, it's been a huge nugget. And I think that's a massive one to end on, bro, buddy. One, because I don't want to take any more than an hour of your time, but also because it just relates to like what this podcast and the mindset stuff is about the most, which is becoming really fucking comfortable with who you are and letting that be the light that you put out into the world, that you are this person. You're not, doesn't matter what else you've done or what you've done in the past. Who are you right now? How do you treat people in your current world? And that is what I judge more people on is who are you? Not everything you've done or everything that your claim to fame or how many trophies are on the wall behind you. It's who are you as a person? How comfortable are you and confident are you in that being that person? And are you consistently that person and showing up as that person all the time? Yeah, it's literally the only question that you have to ask yourself today, guys, is simply this. Who am I? How do I want to turn up? How am I going to add value in other people's lives? And by adding value in other people's lives at 100% capacity, can I take 1% for myself back? Of course you fucking can. So if you go and turn up in the best and put your best foot forward in order to serve your audience, your people, your niche in whatever way that you can then gain payback from that in the future as well.
Yeah.
But first go out and serve the world as your authentic self, and then when you do that, you'll see how the world changes and looks at you. I mean, like everything that we're every human being is trying to do better, to try and be better. You know what I mean? We're all out there just trying, and none of us have got it fucking 100%. And anyone that claims they have is talking absolute bollocks. We're all, every day I wake up and I learn about myself, I journal about it. I'm like, oh, fuck me. I could have done this better. I could have said this better. I could have communicated that better. I could have listened more there. I could have spoken less there. I understand that. We can all self-critique, but the action of actually trying to accentuate develop in your life, to develop your communication skills, to really find out who you are is so fucking invaluable to you guys. And it's the only thing I encourage you to do is to sit with yourself today in this moment after this podcast, turn this off, sit in silence and just think, am I turning up to the world in my authentic self? And in fact, get a pad, two sides of a pad, right? Like a journal, right? Write down exactly who you are today. Write down exactly who you want to be on the other side of the piece of paper. And then write down what you've got to do to go from there to fucking there and how to change that perception in your life. And that will give you a clear plan of how to move yourself to where you actually want to go and who you truly want to be, rather than just thinking it in your head and get it out on paper. Who am I genuinely? Okay, I'm genuinely this. I'm genuinely this, and this, and this. Who do I want to be? Oh, well, I want to be this. I want to be this. I want to be this. I aspire to be this, this, and this, and this. Okay, what's got to fucking change to get me from here to fucking here? Because it's only one side of the pad to the other. But there's a lot of learning in between that has to happen, and it only happens if you are willing to ask yourself difficult fucking questions. Who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I want to turn up? Simple as that.
Mate, that's epic, man. I love that. So much good stuff on here, my man. So, I'm a fan of the podcast. I listen to like every episode that comes out, and I'm slowly working my way back through them now. If people have enjoyed this hour or however long we've been talking, and they want to go and find out more, like how do they find Frankie Lee Podcast? How do they find you on Instagram and go from there?
So yeah, you can search it on all the platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the other podcast platforms, the Frankie Lee Podcast, or if you just type in Frankie Lee Podcast, it will come up. But if you're still struggling to find it, just go to Frankie Lee, Frankie IE, Lee, LEE.com, and it's all on there. You'll see all the episodes, all that stuff. Will Sparks, Mitchell Orville, Ellie Gonzalez. You got the High Smile Boys coming up. You got bangers after bangers after bangers on there. All people, all teaching you how to shift your mindset, break patterns, flip perspective in your own life from their own journeys. You've got people that have made 200, 250, 300 mil a year. You got people on there doing big shit. There's athletes coming up. There's all sorts of shit coming up. That's all on there. And then if you want to follow me on any platform, follow me on Instagram at Frankie Lee, Frankie IE, LEE on Instagram. Look, guys, at the end of the day, whether you follow me or not, I just hope that when you finish this podcast, I hope you turn the fucker off and sit with yourself and ask you the questions that I've asked you to ask yourself. Who am I? Who do I want to be? How do I want to turn up in the world? If you answer those three questions for yourself, you can put like I said to you, you can put a pattern in place that allows you to go from one place to another place, accentuate your life. And if I can give you anything today, I just want to give you that. Simple as that.
Awesome. And if you've made it this far, guys, and you actually go and do that homework, I would absolutely love it if you put it up in your story. If you got the balls to put it up in your story and just show us that you're writing it in your journal and tag me and Frankie, because that would be fucking awesome to see that you guys have actually implemented some of the stuff that Frankie's thrown at you today.
Yeah, hopefully this hits your ears at the right time. And I just want to. There's no point in me being alive on this planet if I don't try and give some value and impact some of you. So if today you can make that change for yourself, that would be powerful. Just let me know on Instagram. Send me a DM. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear about what's changed. Send me a voice note. Anything you can do. But it's not about me. It's not about you. It's solely about you, the audience, and you listening today. If you've listened to this podcast and you've got this far, energetically, there's obviously a fucking reason that you turned this on today. And it would be a crime against you to not do the work that energetically you've been set to do for yourself. Simple as that.
Yeah, man. Love that. Love that. Mate, well, thank you so much for your time. I know you've probably got a busy day doing all the different stuff you've got on. So thank you,
I'm
mate.
off to remove your nudes.
There's too many, mate. There's too many.
Yeah, man. Pleasure, my man. Pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, man.
I will post all the links in the bio as well. If you're one of the people who prefer to click the link and you don't want to go searching, just click the links and you'll find the Instagram, Frankie's website, the podcast, everything. I'll link it all below and we'll go from there, guys. But hope you've enjoyed the podcast. We'll be back next week with another guest and I will see you guys soon. Thanks, Frankie.
Much love.
Thanks for joining me on today's episode of The O Show. If you know somebody who needs to hear this episode today, please share this with them via message or on social media. Don't forget to also take a screenshot and share it on your story and tag me at Oren McCorry so we can continue to grow the podcast and help more people change their lives with the advice given here. Also, keep the 5-star reviews coming over on iTunes as that helps people who normally wouldn't listen to the show find it and get the O Show in their ears and drive the podcast forward to help more people around the world with the advice here. Have a great day and I will speak to you soon.